Alright, so this is kind of another crack at a min-max guide, just because some people have been kind of asking what the 100 days screenshot gameplay looked like, and I figure I'll make a big long play series about it. So the first thing I wanted to start off was with looking at some general outlines for what I'm trying to do in these runs, as well as a few rules I like to set up for myself, just so that it's more accessible to anybody who would want to try it. For example, no animation canceling, so if you're on console, you could also try this without feeling like you're kind of left behind, you know? So we'll start off with just the basic goals. This is a Skull Caverns based run, so getting into the Skull Caverns as soon as possible is our main run goal. So basically we're going to be farming iridium to finance our entire farm, so that we can maximize our starfruit harvest in the summertime, which we'll mass produce wine from, and then maximize our pumpkin harvest in fall, and we'll mass produce pickles, all kind of at the same time. And we also want to finish the community center in year 1. And then I didn't want to put a hard money goal yet, so I kind of left that open. But I'm thinking probably like 5 to 10 million in year 1. Pretty moderate. And then depending on, I guess, who you are, that might sound like a lot of money for a first year, or it might not be a whole lot. So you can kind of gauge, I guess, based on your playstyle, what you're in for based on that. And then we're going to look at some rules for the run next. And so like I mentioned before, I kind of want to do this so it's accessible to console players that are on 1.5 also. So it means no mods, no animation canceling, which kind of slows things down a lot. I probably am going to use the predictor, which I guess does kind of... maybe I won't. We'll see about that one. I'm not going to do step manipulation to try and make the weather what I want and the luck what I want. I'm just going to kind of go with it. And then another rule I'll probably break, but no resets for bad days. I mean, you can do that on any platform, so maybe it's not too bad. And then I'll also scout out my days almost all the time, where I'll kind of go through the whole map and see kind of what I'm going to do. But yeah, basically my rules are just trying to make the whole thing accessible, and so that if you see it, you can try and replicate it, you know, whether you're on PC or not. I feel like everything's always like super PC based. But yeah, I mean, as you can see so far, I'm just kind of running around chopping up trees. And we'll look at some of the actual day 1 goals here in a moment. But you want to start off by chopping enough trees to get your foraging to level 1, and then build a chest to store all your stuff in. And then from there, we kind of just want to make sure we meet everybody in the whole town, do all the foraging, and really what we want to do is get as much money as we can to make our day easier tomorrow. We really want to buy the fiberglass rod so we can add bait and fish a lot faster. So that's really what today's all about. And then obviously want to plant all our stuff and then save a few key items for building in the future. That's it. And then I pretty much run this same loop on every file, because you can hit everything in the same loop pretty consistently and catch everything, as well as start off your meeting the villagers process really well. So I think this is like the best way to go about your first foraging loop, but none of this is really set in stone. You can kind of find your own thing to do. If you want, you can just forget the foraging and just clay farm, if you know what that is, or, you know, I don't know, there's a ton of different options, but this is just what I like. The only thing that really matters is that you have at least like 3 spring onions. Otherwise, it makes it really hard to plant everything after you chop all the wood you need. 3 is usually like my minimum I'd go for. Like I probably restarted this file like 10 times to try and get more. And you can get up to like 25, but I don't know, 7 or so is good. That's like an ideal amount. And a lot of this is kind of pretty self-explanatory. We'll wait for some specific times to meet NPCs, like 11:20 is when you want to meet Jazz, and as you start moving into the town, things get a little more hectic, but the only reason I'm meeting all these people is so that I get the like the quest bonus gold tomorrow for meeting everybody and giving one gift. It's just another way to kind of secure that I have the 1800 gold for the fiberglass rod as early as possible. So again, you don't have to do it. If you want to, it's just 100 gold, I think. So it's not really that crucial, But while I'm doing all this, let's take time to look at our weekly goals. I think that's kind of an easier way to break this down to be a little more manageable. So some of the main goals are opening the community center, which actually isn't really that important. We kind of want to try and do this around the 7th or 8th. I want to get my pickaxe upgrading to steel on the last day. That'll get me on the right track to having a gold pickaxe before I actually start diving down the mines. I want to have all my gold ore, which can usually be pretty costly towards the end of the week. Hopefully I'll be fishing level 8, which I know sounds pretty high for just 7 days, but I'll pretty much just be fishing for this first week, so it kind of makes sense. And then farming level 1, which that's easy to do. As long as you pull up your first 15 parsnips, you'll get level 1. And that's just so I can have scarecrows and minimize my loss from crows. I want to get the fruit bat cave, ideally. That's if you sell, I think, 25,000 gold worth of produce. If I don't get that, it's not a huge deal. You can also do mushrooms if you want, but I like the fruit one better. And then I'll get a cat, because I like getting a cat. So that's pretty important. And then getting all my spring forage stuff for the first community center bundle. The earlier you get that, the better, just so you can do whatever you want with the forage after that. But that's really it. I mean, that's the week goals. It's not too bad. It's mostly just trying to get a lot of gold really fast, which means a lot of fishing. And I guess on that note, I'm curious to know if that's something you want to actually watch. I'll have a ton of fishing footage. I'll literally fish on day 2, 3, and 4 all day. Day 5 will be like half day fishing. And I think 6 and 7 are also full fishing. So I was thinking about running them a little faster speed. But if you're down to watch, I guess I'll leave it up to you guys watching. Or you folks, sorry. But let me know. I don't know. I don't care either way. So as you can see, I'm still kind of just meeting everybody. For some reason, I always forget to meet Jody, which is a pain, because if you forget to meet her, it kind of throws off the whole run, and you just don't get the 100 gold. So this is all kind of for naught. In this case, I did not, which is good. But I don't know, this kind of gives you, like, the pace that you can meet everybody is perfect to, like, do a full round of all of Pelican Town. I'm doing, like, hand motions for some reason, but you can't see me. Gus is also somebody I forget to meet all the time. And then that's it. Once you meet everybody inside, oh no, I still gotta meet these folks. I meet Leia like 3 times, usually. I forget that, I forget if I met her or not almost immediately, so I just keep talking to her. But this first day, I don't know, it usually ends up being relatively inconsequential. You'll almost always get like 500 to 600 gold. Sometimes more, sometimes less. And then if you're lucky, you get an artifact to turn into the museum for an extra 250. Oh yeah, also, buy the beans. If you buy the bean pole on the first day, you kind of don't have to worry about it, as long as crows don't get it. But the beans are the only spring crop that you can't get from mixed seeds. So you have to buy it from Pierre. And I just do it on the first to get it done. It kind of sets you back 60 gold, but it is what it is, you know. And one thing I have noticed, like, I got really, really used to animation canceling. And for those on console who don't know what that is, you basically can like cancel the animation as you're doing it. So, I don't know, you could probably chop down a tree twice as fast because like right when it hits, you cancel it. And so you can re-hit again. But it makes a big difference, but I think all of this will still be totally doable without doing it. But yeah. The only thing I'm doing now, like, you want to clear your paths, so like as you play, different paths out of the farm don't get blocked off. Because you won't have a pickaxe for a really long time. Just because you'll be upgrading it back to back to back. So you want to make sure you like keep those things clear, otherwise rocks can like totally block your exit from the town. And so, yeah, a lot of this won't be super thrilling, you know, like obviously apparently that's not what people are looking for from me anyway, which is cool, but it'll be a pretty relaxed run, even though I'll be internally super stressed because I tend to like make a mountain out of a molehill kind of situation, and as soon as some things start going wrong, I'll try to restart and make sure my next day is like perfect, and you know, next thing you know, you've been fishing for 4 hours and it's still day 3. So I'll try and leave that stress out of it and I'll just deal with that myself. But that kind of makes it sound like I don't like playing like this, but I actually really do. I got lucky today. I got the trilobite. I don't know why I said that way. It doesn't really matter what artifact you get, as long as you get one. Just because that 250 gold the next day is super helpful. But yeah, I guess back to the min-max stress thing. I think initially, like, there's a lot of stress when playing like this, but it ends up being a really satisfying payoff. Like, a lot of things are like down to the second and minute sometimes, and when you actually finally get the result you want, it's really satisfying. And so I think that's why I do it. And it's kind of how I live my actual life. Except for this is a lot more peaceful, I'd say. You don't have a lot of the same woes with like a real garden as you do in Stardew, but I always try to like minimize stuff and min-max my actual garden life, and I don't know, I guess it translates over to the games too. I got really lucky, I should say that again, with my forage today. Like, usually you only get a couple items there. I got like 4 from just the bus stop. And again, this whole route isn't set in stone. It's just the one that I saw, I don't know, way back in the day from, I think it was Zamiel's guide. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but this is really, really heavily based on his like 1.4 guide for Skull Caverns runs. And that's kind of what they do. So I just roll with that. And then a tip for planting, I guess, if you don't know this, the crows will only start appearing once you have 20 crops planted. So if you don't have 20 planted, you don't have to really worry about crows. But the moment you go over, there's a chance for a crow to appear every day. I kind of tend to ignore that and just hope that they don't go for the plants I really need. Like in this case, the green bean. I only bought 1. So if a crow gets a green bean, you're pretty much toast. But yeah, something to keep in mind if you don't want to deal with that stress early on. And then also chopping weeds is the best thing to do when you're out of energy, because it doesn't cost any energy and you can sell the fiber for a gold a pop or 2 gold or whatever. So that's what I'll do a lot of too. And I'll do a lot of that kind of annoying pausing after I chop weeds. And that's just because while you pause, things still magnetize towards you. So you don't have to like run back and get stuff that you chop. It's kind of hard to explain, but you probably know what I mean. If you like chop a rock and keep running, you won't like pick up the stone, you know, unless you stop for a second. But the pausing just does it for you. I do feel like in these videos I kind of ramble a lot, and I guess let me know if that bugs you or not. If it does, I can just tell stories or something, but I don't know, man. It's just easier to ramble on about random stuff and kind of zone out a little bit while I do it. But I'm into whatever. I'm pretty laid back, I guess, for the most part. And then, yeah, man, I kind of don't like doing this stuff in the dark. It's just hard to see what you're doing, and I don't know, I guess I get spoiled by having like iridium bands and glow rings, but you just gotta do what you gotta do. I'm gonna chop weeds until I go to sleep, because I need all the extra gold I can get. This is kind of, some people just do this on the first day. Like they literally just chop weeds on their farm all day long, plant their stuff, go to bed. And then with the money from that, try and get the fishing rod. But I think the route I run makes for a more dynamic day, so I stick to it. And then the only other thing, I think I mentioned earlier, but you want to make sure you keep anywhere from 20 to 40 fiber, because in order to make a scarecrow, you need 20. And if you clear your full farm of fiber, you won't have any, and you can't make a scarecrow, and that kind of can really mess things up. Because then you have to really go out of the way of your route to go get more fiber, and it's just not a good use of time. So just save the 20 now, save 40 if you want to make multiple scarecrows, but 20 is plenty. Oh, I also should say, I play with a controller too, I guess to add in a little more accessibility to the console folks. I like playing with a controller. My hands are kind of bad. They got kind of messed up with weird real life stuff, and so I just play with a controller. It's easier. It's not as efficient, that's for sure. And occasionally I'll use the mouse to, you know, do stuff in the menus, or I don't know, move furniture probably. But otherwise the controller is just fine. And I do almost all of my min-max runs with a controller. So anybody can do it. I thought about cutting a lot of this kind of stuff out too. I don't know if it's necessary, but it's just menu junk. Like, yeah, right now, so I'm using the mouse right now to move my bed and my TV, just so it's a little quicker to get up and going every day. So I hit my foraging goal, which is nice. And then I made a pretty decent amount of money, 827 G's. It's pretty solid. Cookies helped out a ton. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It gets me really close to getting that fiberglass rod. And so this is my scouting run. It's kind of why I decided to like to saturate it down a little bit, just so you can see what I mean by scouting. So first off, I have like the 1200 gold, which is really, really good. I only need 600 more to get that rod. So I tilled that spot and it was just a stone. So now I know I don't have to bother tilling it tomorrow, because I don't need a stone. So I don't need to bring my hoe with me going that way. And then what I'm doing now is just going down here, making sure there's no tillable areas or no relics or whatever, because I don't want to have to bring my hoe if I don't have to. It just takes up inventory space that is really, really valuable. And then I'll check all the trash cans to see if there's anything valuable in those. And that way I can really plan out like down to the moment, like what path I want to take. And I think on this run, like there's really nothing around. But it's still worth kind of checking out. Like there's a maple seed, but I don't need a maple seed. And yeah, so because I scouted this out, now I know I don't have to check any of these trash cans. And I don't have to bring a hoe with me. So that'll save a lot of space and time. But yeah, I think I'll do the next episode probably every other day. I'll do one day at a time, or with fishing, if you want to see it sped up, I can do a couple days at a time. And that's the plan for now. I want to go through really aggressively for the first 28 days and make sure I detail everything. And then I'll probably be a little less detailed with summer and fall, because it becomes a lot of, go into the skull caverns and then come back out and then plant 1,000 starfruit and then water it all if I need to or whatever. And that's not super, you don't need a lot of explanation for that, right? You can just kind of watch it and see what I'm doing. So at that point, I'll probably speed stuff up or do a couple days together, a little more cut up. Unless you want otherwise. Like I said, I'm pretty into whatever, So anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. Or comment if you like if you want to see like changes or if you like different stuff. I'm into making all kinds of junk, so let me know.